please to turn their cell phones off or put those on silent. And I'd like to ask Mr. William Spears if he would say the invocation for us, please.
Let us pray. Father, we come to you today, Lord, seeking your guidance, your direction for this court, Lord, that the decisions made here would be in your will and for the betterment of this county, its workers, and its citizens. We ask it all in the sweet name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Judge Johns.
Present.
Commissioner Robertson.
Here.
Commissioner Tackett.
Here.
Commissioner Booth.
Here. We have a quorum and we're ready to proceed. And I'd like to ask Mr. Eugene Gibbs, who is a United States Army veteran, if he would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, sir. First item on the agenda is the acknowledgement of the receipt of the Pike County Sheriff's 2020 budget. I'd like to ask Pike County Sheriff Rodney Scott if he'd come up. Rodney, you want to come over here and have a seat? And wherever you want. You're the sheriff. You can sit anywhere you want. You can sit up here if you want to.
No, thank you.
That's what I thought you'd say. You have the floor, sir.
Judge, this is it on now?
I think so.
This is just my budget, which has to be in by the 15th of January. So, I mean, it's basically self-explanatory. If you got any questions, I'll be glad to ask them or answer them. But while I'm here, I would like to commend you and the court, Judge, for taking a stand on our Second Amendment, making this a sanctuary county. I think it's a bold move. As a gun owner, gun collector, all my life I was raised a Democrat, and I still think the Democrat Party is the party of the working people and those that can't support and take care of themselves. That's why I'm a Democrat. And, I'm not a national Democrat, I'm not for taking people's guns, I'm not for abortion. But I want to commend you all for the job that you're doing. I appreciate it.
Sheriff, along those same lines, I think the statement that I made the other night was that this court, that I'm ashamed of some of the stuff the National Democrat Party's doing. And I know the members of this court feel the same way. I mean, there's nobody, you won't see a fiscal court hardly anywhere as strong on gun rights as this court. And most of us are conservative on social policies. We're pro-life, we're pro-Second Amendment. I do agree with you that the Democrat Party has historically and still does public education in Kentucky. We've had a war over that. We've had some folks like the former governor that tried to destroy public education. And I'm proud of when I was in the state senate, the role that the Democrats played in trying to protect education, trying to make health care more affordable, fighting for working people, those are things historically Democrats have always stood for, and I think sometimes the national party, and let me break the phrase, a lot of times our national party now has gotten away from that.
I agree, but I still think the Democrat Party is the party of the working people and the people that can't take and take care of themselves. That is the party that will take care of the people. All my life I was preached at. The Republicans will stand for the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, and I believe that with all my heart. But I want to commend you all.
Well, we will appreciate the stance you've taken on it. When you weren't here the other night, I mentioned the fact that you've done a lot to improve school safety. One of the things, we're talking about these people who advocate gun control, what you've done and working with the superintendent of schools, Reed Adkins, is we now have a certified police officer in every county school. And there ain't very many counties anywhere that can say that. City police, Chief Edmonds, and the mayor and the city commission, they've done the same thing in making sure we've got law enforcement officers at our city schools. But what you all have done is really a good thing. We've had help from the Board of Education for that. We talked a lot about, possibly arming police officers or training them, but, I guess the conclusion that you came to, and I think was the right one, was put police officers in there, people that were trained, that knew what they were doing. And I think that the kids in our county schools are safer because of that, and I appreciate what you've done. And I think we've seen the sheriff's office in this county make a lot of progress in terms of professionalism. I think, I don't want to put the numbers in there, but when you came in, you had 3 or 4 certified deputies, and you've got, what, 10 now?
17.
17. Now, my number is off a little bit. You've added a whole bunch of
That's counting our 5 school resource officers. See, a lot of people don't know that you have to be a certified officer to be a school resource officer. So, that's counting them.
So we've gone from 3 or 4 to 17, and that is a remarkable number. And I think so that puts you, 12 on the road, 12 certified on the road. And I know that I appreciate it, and my family appreciates it, and I'd like to yield to members of the court to address that if they'd like.
I definitely appreciate it. And I know my daughter goes to Belfry High School and feels a lot safer knowing that there's a police officer in the high school down there. So, yeah, definitely we appreciate you a whole lot, Rodney.
I want to thank you, Sheriff, for what you do in the schools. That gives a lot of people to think about what they're going to do to come to that school to hurt our children. When they know there's a police officer in there, that might deter that a little bit. I think that's a big thing.
That's true. I mean, it might deter it, It's not a guarantee it's going to stop it, but,
Yeah.
it might.
I appreciate what you do.
Yeah, I want to thank you because I got 2 girls that goes to school. And like I said the other night, with the Sheriff's Department, the Board of Education is one of the best things in this county is putting the officers in the schools.
Right, and again, we couldn't have done it without the cooperation of Superintendent Reed Adkins and the school board. They give us a grant. It don't pay for everything, but it helps. And they give us what they can, and we eat the rest of it. But hey, it's better than not having nothing.
And another thing is, you've worked hard to, improve the equipment that the sheriff's office has, standardized firearms. We know that you need cruisers. And we know that I think the last administration went to the surplus auction and bought some surplus. I think they bought you a 1999 model. This court's not going to do you that way. And last year we returned $187,000 in surplus fees that you collected. I never will forget, somebody said, well, why is our garbage bill going up if we're returning surplus monies? Well, the garbage bills support the garbage system. The money you generated was surplus fees, and we are going to try to help you get some new cruisers because we understand what you're doing. And I think we met a couple times, and you're spending $4,000 or $5,000 a month just on maintenance on some of these older cars. And we're going to try to help you with that. And after this meeting, if you could hang around, I'd like to meet with you and Sharon Hall, and we can talk about what some of our options are in terms of USDA and other grant programs that we might be able to help address this pretty quickly.
That'd be fine. Thank you, Judge.
Now, I would be in favor of using some of what we don't have a lot of single county money that we're going to be getting in, but we've got some in the bank. I would be inclined to use some of that single county money as the match if necessary. Because I do think law enforcement is an economic development function. If you can't take care of the law enforcement needs of the county, you're never going to bring jobs here. And, that's something we can look at. And what we did with the fire department at Shelby Valley is we got the grant and we used some small amount of coal severance tax. Of course, we have to get all of our legislative delegation to sign off on that, and I can't believe that any of our legislative delegation would not be in favor of helping the sheriff's office get new cruisers. So,
Thank you. Appreciate it.
anybody have anything else? So, Sheriff, this does have the $300,000 supplement in it from the fiscal court for this fiscal year coming. And with that being said, is there a motion to approve the Pike County Sheriff's 2020 budget and acknowledge receipt thereof?
Motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner Robertson. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second by Commissioner Booth. Is there any other question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett?
Yes.
Commissioner Booth?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes.
Thank you, Judge.
Sheriff, I'm signing that right now if you want to wait and get a copy of it. So, And the next item on the agenda is acknowledgement of the receipt of the Pike County Clerk's 2020 budget. Rhonda, would you like to come on up?
How is everybody?
Hello.
Mouth. Yeah, it is. Thank you. How is everybody this evening?
Rhonda, you have the floor. Please proceed.
Well, I'm here to present my proposed budget for 2020. She's already handed out copies to everybody, and I'm proposing that the 25% that we send to the court be returned to the county clerk's office.
Rhonda, I don't think that we have this in here, and this is something new for us, that we're being asked to return $325,000. If we do that, that's going to cause major problems with our budget. It's my understanding that in the previously, the prior court had offered a supplement. I'm not sure what the amount was, but I'm not sure that this court's prepared to act, because we would have to sit down with our treasurer to find out exactly what this would do to our budget. I mean, we had budgeted the sheriff the same amount we did last year, but there was no supplement included in our budget, because our budget goes from July 1 to June 30th, whereas yours runs from January 1st to December 31st.
Same as the sheriff's does.
Yours runs in a different cycle, so there's no way we're prepared to act on this today. And if your budget's got to be in by the 15th, as I understand it, we're not prepared to act on this. I don't think the court's had any opportunity to look at this before today. And, of course, as you know, with the open meetings law, we can't discuss this other than in open court. So, you know, it would be my motion that we have to pass over this because we are not in the position to return $325,000.
Well, what do you think you're in the position to return?
Well, there's nothing budgeted. That's the problem. There's no money budgeted for the clerk's office. And what
would be the reason for that, sir?
What's that?
What would be the reason for that?
Well, because there was no budget put in there last year. When we did our budget, there was no money. There had been no money by the prior court either.
Well,
So,
the reason there was no money put in there last year is because I was asked not to put any in there. But I'm
Well,
back this year
bef-
with a new proposal.
well, that would have had to have been included in our budget. We can't return $325,000 that's not been budgeted. Is that correct, Frankie? It's not budgeted. And, you know, if we take $325,000 out of our budget, it creates even more problems.
But don't you put in a new budget in June or July?
Yeah, but that's 6 months from now.
Well, can I get it on the front side of that?
Rhonda, we're not prepared to put a supplement for the clerk's office. I don't think.
It's not a supplement, sir. It's just to let us keep what we actually take in.
Well, that money by statute comes back to the court, correct?
Okay, and what does the court have it, what do you all have that money budgeted for?
Well, I'll tell you what we have it budgeted for. We have 220 employees. We have a jail with 60-some employees. We have a public works department that takes care of more than 100 properties, parks, playgrounds, courthouses. We have a solid waste system that serves over 20,000 customers.
Well, I understand
We have a
that.
senior citizen. If we do this, are you prepared? Hang on a second. If we do this, that means we've got to either take it out of the fire departments, senior citizen centers.
I'm not asking for it right now. I'm not asking for it from here until June.
Rhonda, we're
I'm
not-
asking it for it next year.
And we're not in
whenever the
position.
budget
We're not in a
comes
position to do that. You have 17 employees, and you're asking for $325,000.
So you're telling me you have all these departments, for instance, I don't know, let's just say solid waste, and it takes care of everybody in the county. But it really doesn't. Coal Run takes care of itself. City of Pikeville takes care of itself. I don't have the ability to just raise fees or taxes whenever I get in a hard spot. I have to come to you all.
Rhonda, the
This
simple fact of the
25,
matter is,
75% is meant to help us when we need help. Now, we've not received anything in the clerk's office in almost 5 years, based on hearsay, and you're talking about the court offering me money the last time. Nobody's offered me a penny. I've never turned down 1 penny of any money that's been offered to me. Not one red cent have I turned down.
Well, it's my recollection that the court offered a supplement.
They didn't.
Well, that was my recollection, and if I'm wrong, I'll stand corrected, but the simple fact of the matter
Where did you
is-
hear that from?
Well, it was on television. I saw that on television. I think the newspaper reported it.
That said what? A lot of things are getting reported in the newspaper that
Rhonda,
aren't true.
Here's the simple fact of the matter is I'm not going to digress into an argument. We offered to help you.
I don't want to argue with you, sir, and I understand where you're coming from. But, you know, for 30 years, no matter who the clerk had been, 30 years, even when money was flowing through here like the Honey River, the clerk's office, along with the sheriff's department, received funding because it's simply not set up to run without it. No matter who your clerk of choice would have been or could have been or you want to be or was back in the day, the bottom line is this. No matter who the clerk was back in the day, no matter who the clerk is now, no matter who the clerk is going to be in the future, without supplement money or returning at least some of this money back, it cannot function. It's just not set up to do that. Now, I've cut expenses. I've reduced staff. When I first came in, we had, I think, around close to 30 employees. We are down to 17. Talk about a skeleton crew. We don't even have its arms and legs. We're just down to the torso right now. Now, I'm coming to you all for help.
Well, here's what I'm saying to you, Rhonda. And I'm going to address the solid waste issues. Every piece of garbage that comes out of Coal Run or the city of Pikeville goes in the county's landfill.
It may do it.
Hang on a
but
second.
But the county employees don't have to pick it up.
Rhonda, here's the simple fact of the matter. We offered to help you with your health insurance. We set you up to meet with one agent.
Yes.
You didn't want to deal with them. You've got Mr.
Well, that's not true that I didn't want to deal with them.
Well,
I thought I was meeting with a CAECO representative.
Well, it doesn't matter who they are. If you can get cheaper insurance,
I'm all for that.
You're paying $223,000 a year for 17 employees' health insurance.
Because we're under the 50
Well-
person plan. You know, if you all would just be kind enough to let us on your insurance, we could save $80,000 like that right there every year.
You can, but here's the problem. It would result in a 5% premium increase to our premium, which is at $1.711 million a year. So if we raise our premium, it's not saving the county taxpayers a penny. If we raise
Yeah, it kind of would compared to what I'm having to pay out.
if we raise our premium,
Because we
which
should
is
all be going into the same fund. If I have any money left over at all, I give it to you all.
if we raise our premium 5%, that's more than $80,000. So it doesn't save the county taxpayers. Mr. Hunt has some documents that he's asked for you to sign.
Yes, I've spoke with him.
And if you can sign those, he can get you a quote by the end of the week that potentially could save you some money. You know,
know that.
one of the things that we've had to
He's
do.
not the only one I'm checking with. I've got about 5 that I'm checking with.
Well, I understand, but until you sign those documents with him, he can't get you a quote. And we're trying to help you. But nobody on this court is prepared to offer $325,000 supplement.
I'm not asking you to offer it to me. I'm just saying the money, it may not even be that much. Whatever comes in, the 25 account, just let me keep it. Just let me keep it.
But that money
That's
has
all I
been
need.
that money has been budgeted, correct, Frankie? In our budget, it's included. It's already been allocated to somewhere else. So if we cut 300,
When does this budget end that you've got all this money allocated for? When does it end? June.
Ends
So
in
what
June.
comes around in July? A new budget?
a new budget, but we don't know where we're going to be. We don't know what our premium increase is going to be on our health insurance for employees. We don't know what it's going to be on our comp and liability. The county's had several severe motor vehicle accidents. There's one fatality that the county's dealing with on the county's insurance. It was a different department. We're willing to try to come back in June or July, but we don't know where we're going to be. Now, it may be that we could do something in June or July, but right now,
That would be wonderful.
but
I
we
would love for you to
don't,
do something in
we
June
don't
or
know where
July.
we're going to be at the end of the fiscal year. But there's no money. We can't agree to give you money until we know if we're going to have money. This court did not raise property taxes. We did not raise the compensating rate. So that's an additional $200,000 that we're not going to have coming in because we didn't raise taxes. So this court's not prepared
Is
to
there
act.
any other government offices that you all fund that you don't provide any funding for? Is there any other?
In the sheriff's office, because of the role that they're trying to put deputies out here and trying to take care of the drug problem. I think
I was always under the impression, the jail and the PVA.
Well, the jail does, but the jail's part of the fiscal court.
So you have to fund it.
It's not, it's part of the fiscal court. It's not like the clerk's office or the sheriff. Those are purely discretionary if we are able to do that.
I just don't think you all realize the importance of the clerk's office down there. I really don't. You all just, I don't know, we do a lot down there, and things are on timelines, and it takes people to do these things. We have an entire DMV department. Liens have to be filed in a timely manner. There's not one person in this county that the clerk's office does not impact in one way, shape, or form, whether it be a vehicle, a marriage license, elections, liens, deeds, transient merchant license. The scope of that office is so broad, and it takes employees to run it. That's what that money is needed for, is for some employees that we can stay afloat, because we will sink without any help.
Let's do this real quick. Let's take a recess, because here's the problem.
Okay.
We just received this, and I just found out that the members of the court don't have this. You don't have this in your file, the clerk's budget, do you?
Yeah.
What's that? Do you have it? Just got it. I think let's take a recess. Let the members of the court have an
I'd
opportunity.
like to tell the members of the court something before you take your recess. When I was first elected and came in here, we received, I think, $225,000 as a surplus that was returned to the clerk's office, because it was budgeted to give to the clerk's office in the first place. It was Miss Elliott's under her term, and it was her money. And that's what we've been using to try to survive. Now, at last term, I've done the best I can with what I've had. We were in a deficit. You guys, you need a budget for that too. Go ahead and write that down. $24,000 some dollars will have to be paid. Now, by the time this term ends, without any type of help, there's a possibility. I'm not going to say that it could happen, because like you say, you don't never know what's going to happen in the county. You don't know what the financial situation's going to be. It could improve. It could be worse. That office, there could be a possibility that it could be in a really big deficit without help. Now, I'm not asking for this for every year. I'm just coming before you asking to keep it one time and put it in your new budget for July.
The question I have is, if you say that the deficit you have right now is $24,000, this budget shows a surplus. It says estimated deficit for 2019 of $60,000.
No.
I'm sitting here looking.
That is for this past following year. This has nothing to do with the last term.
No,
So that's how crucial it is that we need money.
It says for 2019 that there's an estimated deficit of
$60,000.
So you're 60,000 short for 2019.
Correct. And the following year, it'll probably be another 60. And the following year, another 60. Because you have to have so many employees to run this office. You have to.
Well, it's one thing for us to talk about trying to help with the deficit, but we're talking about you've budgeted, you've got in here $325,000.
That's the amount.
Plus
That's the amount
60,000.
that we sent last year back to the fiscal court out of the 25%. Are you all familiar with how this works?
We're familiar with how it works, but I'm trying to figure these numbers out here. 1.467.
Are the commissioners, are you all familiar with how this works?
No, you can explain it to us.
For every dollar that is brought into the clerk's office, that is composed of a clerk fee that we could say is our profit, so to speak, just like you all would get money from the sheriff's office or whoever. We send 1/4 of it upstairs to you all. I'm assuming, does it go into your general fund? Okay. And we keep 75%. Now, you're a business owner, are you not?
Yes.
Are you a business owner? Now, if you had to give a quarter, which I know that's the way it's set up to be, but if you had to automatically give a quarter off of every dollar that you made in your business, would it put a strain on you,
Yes.
even before taxes? Before you paid any
Hang on
bills?
a second. Hang on a second. I'm the chair, and we're going to stop where we're going. Rhonda, this is not a place to question the commissioners, okay?
I'm not questioning.
You are questioning.
I am making a point about a financial need that we have.
I understand that you have a financial need. The problem we have is we're not talking about running a business. I run a business. You can't compare this to a business because everybody comes to the clerk's office. And we know
That's
that there's-
exactly right.
and we-
Everybody comes to the clerk's office.
I
Even
do.
people that aren't
I
even in the
do.
county.
My business does.
Throughout the entire state, we help service them. We service people that are across the whole United States. They send paperwork to us.
Well,
Companies
Rhonda,
with wills,
this
and we
is the-
do wills and deeds. And
This is the first day, 2 days before your budget's due. We had a court meeting last week. We could have addressed this.
I was prepared to address it,
We could have
but I
addressed
got a
it.
phone call saying it had been moved to today.
We did move it because of sheriffs, but here's the situation. No one told us that there was going to be, I'm trying to figure out how, and I don't know that this is correct. Well, you've got a $325,000 return of the 25% fee account. Then it shows an estimated deficit of $60,000,
Right?
which to me should go on top of the budget. I'm not
These
sure.
are the forms that they give us to use.
Well, I don't understand why the budget deficit for last year would not be, that's going to have to be another 60. Well, I
Because-
do know what it is because,
I don't think you can include it with this one. I think that term has already been closed out, and that's a separate issue.
The 60,000?
No, the 60 is this year. The 25 was from the
60 for
previous four.
2019. But
So you were in the whole 20,000 for the last year of 18?
Right, when the term, for the 4-year term, when they
Four.
close it out, that's how much we were short with the funds that come into the office.
It says here, though, explain to me the 60,000 deficit. What are we talking about there?
That's at the end of this year, our bookkeeping, we lack 60,000 in funds that it takes to actually operate the office.
Well, this says estimated deficit for 2019. It don't say 2020.
But 20 of it was 18, right?
Right, no,
And 40 of it was,
that is what was left over last year that just passed, 2019.
You're saying it's 24,000.
No, 24,000 is from 15, 16, 17 to 18, and that's closed out.
So,
Totally
so that
closed
money,
out.
that money is still owed, or has it been paid? Has that deficit been met?
It's still owed.
So you owe 24,000 there.
No, I don't. The court does.
Okay. And I'm not going to get into that, but then you're saying there's another 60,000 for this year coming. Now back up. You saying there's 60,000 for 2019 as well.
19, yes.
So that's an $84,000 deficit.
Yeah, but you can't include the 20-some thousand. Doesn't have anything to do with this.
Okay, what I'm saying is it's still a deficit that that somebody's responsible for.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
So I understand it's not in the budget, but at some point, that 24,000 has to be paid, correct?
Correct.
And then 60,000 for 2019.
Unless I've got 4 years to overcome it. I don't know that, there's no way it can be overcome.
I'm trying to get an idea of what kind of deficits that we're looking at going forward.
But we don't know for sure. It depends on you all.
Well-
And it depends on what comes into the office.
And that's the same kind of problem we have. We don't know what's coming in because the coal severance has gone down, our tax receipts.
I understand that, Judge, I really do.
And we're trying to, Rhonda, I'm trying to get a handle on what you're talking about here and how much we're talking about. In this budget, you're talking about 24,000 from the last term.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about 60,000 for 2019.
No, you have, just do away with the $24,000. It has nothing to do with this right here.
It has nothing
But
to do with
as a total deficit altogether, yes.
That's what we're trying to
That's
look
what
at.
I'm trying to
Rhonda,
look at, what the total deficit
deficit's
is.
going to be. So 24,000 previously, 60,000 for 2019.
Could be 60,000 for possibly
2020.
more. going forward every year, it could be anywhere from $60,000 to $100,000 in a deficit. And it doesn't matter who the clerk is, they're all going to be faced with this. The way this is set up to run is that 25% comes back to help us when we're in need and for what we need things for. You guys get to use it to do what you have to do, and if we have any left over, we give it back too.
Well, here's the situation, and it may be we have to come back here for a special meeting tomorrow because I need to get with the county's treasurer to see what, there's no way that we can do a $325,000 supplement because the treasurer's had no opportunity. And if we cut $325,000 out of this budget, that means it's already been allocated. It means somebody gets laid off. It means we cut it from the senior citizens.
I know all about layoffs. I know all
We
about
cut it from the fire departments. I mean, we have to know where that money's going to have to come from.
know all about it.
So let's take
Let me
it.
ask you something. In
Let's
your
take
budget
it-
that you have right now, how much money did you have budgeted for our election department?
For what?
For elections, how much money was budgeted, Frankie, for elections? Do you know?
Without looking at the budget, the budget's,
Just don't remember.
well, it's 50 pages long probably. I don't know the exact line item. We can get that for you if you was take a recess.
I've got it downstairs. I was not when added it up.
I don't know, what's the significance of that for the,
Well, don't forget, you got a budget for that next time too. You need a budget for the 24,000. You need to make sure you've got enough stuff budgeted for our election department. And we need some surplus money. We gotta have it.
Ron, it's sort of hard for us to do that when we're getting ready to have to spend $7 million at the landfill and solid waste department just to keep it running. I mean, this county's in trouble, and I understand your situation.
I understand that we're all in trouble, not just the county. We're all in trouble
mean, you
here,
know,
Judge.
it's-
All of us are in trouble.
Well, I mean,
It's
and-
just, it is what it is, and I need some help.
Well, so does the county, Ron, and we're trying to figure out a way to help you, and that's why we're trying to help you on the health insurance. If we can do something, then I
No,
would
to
recommend
really
it.
help us on health insurance, even though it would probably raise your rate, if we could get on the county's
Okay,
insurance.
if it saves you $80,000, but it costs us $80,000 and raises our premium for 200 employees,
Well, you need to run the numbers on that and
we
find out.
already have ran the
Because
numbers.
listen, even if it raised your all's insurance, just say $180,000 a year, it's still cheaper than what I'm going to have to pay based on the number of employees I have. If you don't have over 50 employees, you cannot get that commercial rate, and it is outrageous.
Go back and talk to Mr. Hunt back there. He can talk to you. If you'll give him the documents he needs signed that he's been asking for. Let him see what he can
I've had
do.
a sick mother. I've had a lot going on, and I've been in contact with him, and I've already spoken with him about it.
Well, what we need to do is, while we're going to take a recess,
I have a meeting on Wednesday, so
well, I can't be here Wednesday, so if we have to do this, it'll have to be done tomorrow. I cannot do
okay,
it.
that's fine. If we can do it
so-
early in the morning.
So we have to advertise it. It has to be 24 hours notice, so it have to be tomorrow evening.
Well, then let's talk here. What can you bring to the table for me? What can you help me with at all?
Until I get with the
If
treasurer.
you can't do the 300 and some, is there any just off the top of your head, Frankie? You run these.
I don't run the county off the top of my head, Rhonda. We have to go back and look at the numbers.
Go ahead.
Right now, we have a budget in place. Everything's been allocated. If we agree to give you 325, that means we have to amend our budget and cut
No,
325.
you don't, sir. You do not. This is for after July. I don't have to have it today. I don't have to have it next. I don't have to have it next month.
So when,
I
okay,
just have
let's
to
just
have
say,
it.
let's say that you get it after July. That means from the base numbers we have, we've got to cut 325,000 out of something else. Okay, now where would you
Well,
go?
not
Where would you
necessarily
propose?
because you never got it yet to start with.
Judge, clerk, just let us take a recess and,
Okay.
okay? You don't care, thank you.
The court's going to stand in recess for a period of 10 minutes.
I'll be sitting here.
The clerk's office budget receipts, the 75% that you operated on, was $1,696,567.
Yes.
In 2019, your receipts, 75% that you operated on, was $1,135,860. So that's over a $561,000 shortfall.
Those are projected,
No, those should be,
those were projected, those are projected numbers, some of them.
no, this says the actual receipts. We're not talking about projections for 2018 and 2019. These are actual receipts. You see that? It says specifically.
I see it, I see what you're talking about.
We're not dealing with projections for the budget to closed out 2 years ago or in December.
Okay,
So you show the actual receipts for your office between 2018 and 2019 went down $561,000. And the question is, you're projecting that those receipts will go back up this year to $1.407 million. So why is it that you are projecting a $272,000 increase in receipts this year as opposed to last year?
that's where that plug number comes from, where we need that money
Okay,
to make it balance.
okay,
You have to use that plug number to make it balance.
okay, that's what you're estimating, though. This, I don't know that this is accurate, the way this is supposed to be done, because this is asking for
This
estimate.
is what I've used since I've came here, because that's what we had. To me, if you want the honest truth, this budget form makes absolutely not very much sense, but
Well, it's-
you have to balance it.
Okay, here's what I'm trying to say to you. You're showing down here that you're actually expecting that those receipts will go up. And I see the 1.47 is with this 325,000 that you're asking for.
No, it's not going to go up. It's going to go down. This is a more realistic number.
You're saying, not according to this, estimated receipts for calendar year 2020, 1,142,000. So you're showing it's going up 7,000 this year.
Last year it was 1,696,567.
No, that was in 2018.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, yes. Well, our insurance went up, and so did our
That's not what we're talking about.
retirement.
We're
So
talking
I
about.
had to budget for that.
We're talking about receipts. I'm not talking about anything to deal with expenditures right now. This, you're showing 2019, your actual receipts were 1.135. You're estimating that they're going to go up a little bit, 1.142 million.
Well, I'm hoping it will.
Well, I mean, but we're having to deal with realistic numbers here.
That's as realistic as I can get. As
well-
you can see, it's come down almost 500,000 from
Rhonda,
last year.
Rhonda, you need to listen to me for a second. Let me get some information for the court here, okay? Because we're trying to figure out a way to help you with this, but we can't do it at the expense of cutting the fire departments or senior citizen centers, because we have very,
You know I wouldn't ask you to do that.
Rhonda, but the money has to come from somewhere. It has to come from somewhere.
Listen, I know the papers quoted it. Everybody knows it. The county has quite a huge surplus. I do know that you have plans for that surplus.
Rhonda, we have massive needs. There's no surplus right now.
I understand.
But you're going to have to help you, okay? So here's what my proposal is. In the first 4 years you were in office,
Yes.
you ran a $6,000 per year deficit for a total of $24,000 over your first term, correct? On average, it would be $6,000 a year.
Only because it would have been exactly what it is right now, only because we got that $225,000 off the bat from Miss Elliott's previous term. That's what I'm trying to explain to you.
Because, as you know,
We kept that in the bank and we used it as needed, to pay our bills and what have you. The state pays our bills, but we have to settle up with them.
so what 225,000 are you talking about? Are you talking about a surplus that she,
Came in 2015. There was budgeted in 2014 for supplement money to go to the clerk's office. They hadn't given it to her yet.
okay?
They give it to me off the bat because they had budgeted it and it had to go to her.
So in
Well, I
2015,
got to keep that. I was just very lucky. I got to keep that.
in
So
2015.
that's what's carried us over.
Okay, hang on one second. In 2015, 16, or 17, the prior administration did not give any supplement, is that correct?
And 19.
In 19. Now, we've got some questions, and Mr. Stacy, you had some questions about this, I think, about the way these numbers are laid out.
I do, Judge. Can you explain why from 2018 to 2019 that the receipts dropped 500,000?
Well, I can explain it better to you by looking at these annual ledgers. I mean, if that'll help you more. Because,
Because it's like,
for instance, in 2014, we took in like 15-some million dollars. 19, we took in 15-some million dollars. And in between, there's been a fluctuation that goes down, a little bit back up, a little bit down, back down. But now we're about evened out to what we used to take in. According to these figures that I've pulled from the bookkeeper, I had her go back and get old logs because, I'm like you all. I'm trying to figure it out as I go along, too. And I'm doing the best I can with it. But I do know for a fact, regardless of how any of these figures go, that money has to be returned back to the clerk's office, at least some of it. We have to have it. There's no way around it. We could look at these figures all day long.
Well, here's what my proposal would be.
Okay.
Is that in the next budget that we will, assuming our revenues are good,
Yes.
our tax collections are good,
Yes.
that we would provide a supplement in the next budget to cover your accumulated deficit of 60,000 plus the 24 from prior years. That's 84,000.
Well, then you got to bear in mind you're working in 2020, and that's probably going to be another 60.
Well, then we can deal with that at the end of the year. But that's also going to be
That's fine.
that's also going to be incumbent on you to work with us because we're willing to have our insurance, the guy that handles our insurance, meet with you, sit down and see if we can't find through some other agents to help you find cheaper insurance. We've offered that. I would propose that before we come back tomorrow with a modified budget, that you let the county treasurer meet with Mr. Casey and go over these numbers. Because, we can't, if these numbers continue to go down, if the 2020 number drops precipitously like it did from 18 to 19, where you had a $561,000 revenue difference from year to year, we've got bigger problems. It's only going to be worse, and it's just a hole that's going to keep getting deeper and deeper.
A lot of these were estimated figures,
Well,
Judge.
hang on a second. Are you telling me that in this budget where you've got the actual receipts were $1,135,000 that's not an estimate, is it?
For which year was that?
For 2019, we have an actual receipt. We know what that amount, the fee you generated was because we know what you collected, correct?
That's right at it. She don't have her this, like I said, is an estimate. She don't have our books settled up because we're a month behind. But that's about what we've projected that it'll be.
So you think
All of these are projections,
But-
all of them.
well, they can't be projections. You ought to know what 2018's receipts were.
I do on our ledgers, but we don't know that because we submit this a year before.
Well, this is
I
2 years.
don't know what 20 and 20 will be because I won't know until next January.
Rhonda, I'm not talking about 2020. I'm talking about, we know between 2018 and 2019, there was a $561,000 shortfall.
Because I had to do more layoffs.
I'm talking about what you collected. I'm not talking about what you spent. I'm talking about what you collected. It's right on the front of the main budget.
I see that. I see what you're.
So what I'm saying is,
I have to go add all these figures together to get that and tell you where it actually came from in front of me at this moment.
okay, here's my
Without
question.
going downstairs and getting another spreadsheet.
Here's what my question is, and I think this is what stumps the court, is why did your revenue go down $560,000 from one year to the next? I'm not talking about what you spent, but what you collected.
Well, you
Is there any
yourself
way-
know.
Is there any way to get those receipts back up? I mean, to where you're,
Yeah,
Like your
if
department?
we can get more people back into our county and get our population back up and people buy more things and they register more vehicles and more people get married and they buy more land and homes and stuff, yeah, we could get it back up.
I mean, so my question was there a reduction in the number of transactions between 2018 and 2019 that led to that $561,000?
Some.
Okay, where'd the rest of it come from?
It's downstairs in our bookkeeping. I can bring whatever you need up here to show it.
Well, we're gonna have to come back tomorrow afternoon, and what I would propose is you let Mr. Stacy work with Mr. Casey and get us something that we can adopt for you tomorrow. And I think the court's wanting to help you, but
I appreciate that very
we
much.
can't do it until we get our next budget prepared. And then we can always amend your budget if we're able to give you money to cover your prior deficits, which would be $84,000 to that point. Because as a fee officer, the sheriff and the clerk is personally responsible at the end of their term. It's
Well,
not,
that's what I was always assuming too, but
it's
I
not,
found
it's
out
not the
better.
county's responsibility.
Yeah, it kind of is.
No,
If there's no
it's-
mismanagement, yes, I've already been to Frankfurt and talked to people.
I don't know what you talked to, but the sheriff and clerk, it's one reason you couldn't pay me to be either one of those jobs. At the end of their term, if there's a deficit,
If there's mismanagement or if anything's been lost purposefully,
if there's any money,
copper fraud, we have an excellent audit. Not one penny's ever been lost or
Ron,
mismanaged.
that's not what I'm talking about. But as a fee officer, the fee officer's responsible. And we're willing to help you.
To a point, and then the court has to help us out because we're one of those 2575 counties.
I understand that, but there's no statutory requirement that we come in and supplement either the sheriff or the clerk. And what I'm trying to tell you is we will help you with the deficit, assuming our finances. But if we right now pass what you've asked us to pass, that means we've got to amend our budget, the one we're operating under right now, and cut $325,000 because we become obligated. The fiscal court, the minute we adopt this, we become obligated to that. Even if your receipts don't come in anywhere near that, we're
There's a
still
possibility they won't.
okay. If they don't, we're still on the hook for $325. So if I have to go tell Frankie,
No, it was just asking to return the entire 25%, and I put out from it that was estimated. It was just an
But
estimated
if
value.
Rhonda,
I may
let's-
not bring in 190. We may bring in 225.
okay, but here's the problem: if we put $325 in there,
We have to put 325 in our budget to supplement to you.
it don't matter if you don't get that. We have to.
If whatever we approve in your budget goes into our budget.
Or comes out of our budget.
Well, no, I mean, when we do our budget, we have to put in what we said that we were going to give to them.
That's correct. And once we vote on giving you whatever this is, if it's $325 that you've asked for, and your receipts only come out to be $250, we're still on the hook for $325.
No.
Yes, it is, because
Put estimate. I just said return 25%.
it doesn't. We have to have a number in there. We can't just
That's
put.
a
We can't
plug
just
number
put.
based on last year. So I mean,
All budgets are estimates, but if we agree to do $325, that means we're on the hook for that. And if we do it right now, that means I've got to tell Frankie, as the judge executive, I've got to instruct him to get me a plan to reduce our expenditures between now and July 1 by $325,000.
would you like to meet with my bookkeepers?
It needs to be today because we have to be able to do this tomorrow.
We got
Well, that's what I was going to tell you when you come in. I've been on the phone with Frankfurt, and they said that you don't absolutely have to have it on the 15th. They would go a few weeks. They would wait on it because I told them I was in the process of working with y'all.
Well,
Could it wait till next Tuesday? We got a regular scheduled court meeting, and that would,
It could.
okay.
Like I said, I don't have to have this today.
we were under the assumption that it had to be done today.
Well, I was under assumption too. But see, there's a lot of things we assume that we find out different.
Well, here's what we know. We know it's not an assumption that if we put a number in here,
Okay.
we're obligated to that. And if we do it right now, I've got to tell the budget, the treasurer, that we've got to reduce our budget right now by that amount of money.
I would have to amend that in
Right now.
because we're basically
So that means we have to.
look for it.
We're on the hook and we have to reduce our expenditures. And there's only so many places that we can come up with $325,000. Rhonda, we understand your situation. You're having the same problem that a lot of other county clerks are having. But we also have to come up with the money to expand the landfill. We have massive needs in the road department. We have equipment that's worn out. We have problems with our garbage trucks.
I understand.
We had
Judge.
4 garbage trucks
Understand.
down last week. We're trying to help you, and I think that the way we can do that, there's 2 things we can do. We can have, Mr. Maynard was an insurance agent. We've got an insurance agent here that's willing to meet with you, but you've got to give him the information. I don't know, I don't care who the agent is we gotta get the best price for the taxpayers. That's what we did when
Oh,
we
I
left.
agree with you.
When we left KCO, that's what we thought we were doing on our liability and comp. You need to shop it around and get the best price. He will help you do that. We will send the treasurer down today to go through these numbers to verify. Frankie knows more about this than probably any treasurer. He's a CPA. He needs to go through all these numbers because if the revenue has gone down 561,000, we need to know why, and we know what we can do to get it back up. We also need to look at these expenses because we need him to go through this budget. I trust him to put together a $34 million budget for the county. We need him to go through your budget and make sure that, because tomorrow or whenever we do this next Tuesday, if that's what it looks like,
What expenses are you referring to?
I want him to go through with Mr. Casey everything that's in this budget to make sure that because he's got a couple questions about it. And when we see these kind of drops in the numbers, that's a huge, it's almost a 1/3 drop in your total revenue.
That's because all these budgets have always been over projected all these years.
Well, what we're not talking about, we're talking about actual receipts going from 1.7 million roughly to 1.1 million. And that's a huge drop, and we need to know why. And we need to know if there's any way to get that back up, because if not, if it keeps doing what it's been doing, we've got bigger problems. And let's work on this for a week. We'll come back in. If we can find a way to come up with some money to help you on your deficit, we can do that, but we can't do it until the next budget.
When would you like for me to be back?
Well, you can come back at the next court meeting, and Mr. Stacy can work with you all to get a proposal
Is that a
together.
morning? Is that a morning or evening? Morning.
It's a morning meeting.
O'clock.
It's 10 o'clock in the morning on next Tuesday at 10. So that way, we can have time to have him go over all these numbers. Like I said, we will have to pass a bare bones budget for you, and we can come back in and put the money to catch you up on your deficit in. But I think there's money to be saved if you'll shop around your insurance and let Frankie look at some of these other numbers. We've cut millions of dollars in expenditures for the county. We've taken out take-home cars. We've changed insurance companies. We're doing everything we can to save money. Let him go over your insurance with you and see if there's a way we can save some money. Because
I'd appreciate that. I thank
we're-
the court for their time. I know you've been here a long time today. You didn't plan on, and we got to go downstairs and get busy so you can find whatever it is you're looking for.
So Frankie will come down and get with Mr. Casey as soon as we finish up today, okay?
You can be there too, Rhonda.
I'll be there. Thank you, the court, for their time. I appreciate it. Please take consideration into what it is we're needing. Don't mean to be hateful or smart or mean, and I'm a little bit matter of fact, I guess, and I come across a little stern, but if I did, I apologize.
Tell your mom to get better.
Huh?
Tell your mother to get better.
I'm getting ready to go. I was supposed to got her out of the hospital about 3 today, so she's probably waiting on me.
Okay.
Thank y'all.
We'll see you next week. All right, any need for executive session today? All right, with no need for executive session. Anything for
Can you do
treasurer's
treasurer?
business?
Yes.
Mr. Stacy, let me do this real quick. Let's get all these folks back to work. Anybody in the management or leadership team have anything come before the court? So we're going to go ahead and excuse you while we finish this up, unless you all like to stay. But we'd like to get you back to work as soon as we can. Mr. King, you have anything? And Mr. Stacy, please proceed.
The first item I have would be to authorize checks for lodging, registration, and expenses for any employee who needs to attend the KMCA Legislative Training Day, February 20th, at the Kentucky State Capitol in Frankfort.
Is there a motion to authorize checks for lodging, registration expenses for those employees needing to attend the KMCA Legislative Training Day, February 20th, 2020, at the Kentucky State Capitol?
Motion.
There's a motion by Commissioner Booth. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second by Commissioner Robertson. Any question or discussion? See none. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett?
Yes.
Commissioner Booth?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes.
Authorize checks for lodging, registration, expenses for any employee who wishes to or needs to attend the Eastern Kentucky and Appalachian Revitalization Workshop, February 5th, at the Moorhead Conference Center in Moorhead.
Is there a motion to authorize checks for lodging, registration expenses for any employee who needs to attend the Eastern Kentucky and Appalachian Revitalization Workshop, February 5th, 2020, at the Moorhead Conference Center in Moorhead?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Tackett. Is there a second? Second. A second by Commissioner Booth. Is there any other questions or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson? Yes. Commissioner Tackett?
Yes.
Commissioner Booth?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes.
Authorize checks for lodging, registration, and expenses for any employee who needs to attend the Mountain Water District Water Line Extension Meeting, January 22nd, at the Kentucky Department for Local Government in Frankfort.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
A motion by Commissioner Booth. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Tackett. Any question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett?
Yes.
Commissioner Booth?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes.
Last thing I have would be to authorize a county government application for a Kentucky Ambulance Block Grant for the City of Pikeville Ambulance Service in the amount of $6,117.95, and for the judge executive to sign all related documents.
Is there a motion? Motion by Commissioner Booth. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Robertson. Any question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett?
Yes.
Commissioner Booth?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes. Any other business, Mr. Stacy?
No, Judge.
All right. Anything from the deputy judge? All right. Commissioner Robertson, anything, sir? No. Commissioner Tackett?
No, sir.
Commissioner Booth?
Judge, the only thing I have is, I like everybody to remember J.B. Dotson, where he lost his dad in the next coming days. That's all I have today.
I wasn't aware of that. And also, my good friend over on Turkey Creek, George Hensley, lost his wife a couple weeks ago. I just found out. Commissioner Williamson, Public Works Commissioner Paul Williamson told me that, their supervisor told me that she had passed away, and we want to extend our prayers and sympathies to George's family as well. And give our regards to JB if you talked to him before I did. Is there any other business to come before the court? Commissioner Booth, would you say the benediction, sir? Yeah. Is there a motion for adjournment?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Tackett. Is there a second? Second. Second by Commissioner Robertson. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett?
Yes.
Commissioner Booth? Judge Jones?
Yes. We are adjourned.
You want me to?